Hello there. Welcome back to Mathematical Literacy Grade 12. In this video, we want to look at a common test of March 2017. It is from the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So we are going to start on the first question on that question paper. That is our question one. So our question one reads from a Xerox company at a fixed cost of 1,600 rands. Temba receives an income. Table one whereby what income. So then beneath the table calculating go to test plus and test, and then we've got the times copy of text is going to be out the zero copies. So the cost that is for every we're going plus that we are going to include that product of number of copies. One, we are going to say we have got our formula as our expenses. So we're going to say expenses equal to remember we said we have got 1,600 as our fixed 1,600 rands as our fixed cost. So we're going to say 1,600 rands. And then from there, we are supposed to add, and then we go to the other copies times 30 cents. So basically, that's how we're going to formulate our formula. So we're going to say 30 cents times number of copies. Number of copies made. So we see that we formulated it in that way. So, but obviously, the other side, we are going to have some brackets, 30 cents times number of copies made, then we get to 1,600. So this is what we have on the first part of our question. Then go to the to our next question, which is going to be 1.2. Say calculate the values. We start with A, whereby we have got A. So A, these are the total expenses in rands, which is exactly the formula that we formulated here. So we are going to use 6,000 copies is the number of copies. So we go to our formula that we have there. We're going to say 1.2, whereby we are going to say we want to find A. So we're going to say A is equals to 1,600. So we're just using the same formula that we have there. And then we add 30 cents. Then number of copies, remember, according to the question, multiplied by 6,000. So that way, we are going to find our final answer is, if you calculate very correctly there, you see that you're going to get your answer is 3,400 rands. So basically, this becomes your final answer. So this is what we have. Then we can as well try to move on to the next part of our question, whereby now we are looking at question 1.3, which is so before we move on to 1.3, we also need to calculate B, remember. So we have got B, and B is total income, where we have got number of copies being 8,000. But total income, we know that according to the information given, we can just maybe try to go back to the information that we have. According to information given, we're told that Temba receives an income of 50 cents, 50 cents for every copy made. So obviously, we are going to use our 50 cents. So multiplied by 8,000. So going to other section, we are going to say 1.3, whereby we are saying we're still on 1.2. So we're calculating B, and we're saying 8,000, and then we multiply by 50 cents, and then the final answer that we're supposed to get is 4,000. So this becomes your final answer. So basically, that's what we have on that part. And then we now move on to the next part of our question, which is now 1.3, saying how many copies must Temba make in order to break even. But we know that by breaking even, we know that in break even, that's where we are having the total cost equal to the total revenue. So basically, we go to, remember here we've got the total cost being this row and the total income being this row. So we look where we have got total cost equal to total expenses equal to total income. So you see that at 8,000, we've got 4,000 here. In our calculation, to see that we got 4,000. So it means here B is 4,000, which is equal to our total expenses. So the number of copies is 8,000. So basically, I say 1.3, 8,000 copies. Then we can as well try to move on to the next question, which is now 1.4. Calculate the profit in rands that Temba will make if 4,000 copies are made. You may use the formula, the following formula, which says profit is equal to income minus expenses. So 1.4, we are saying profit is equal to income minus expenses. according to the formula that we are given. Then from there, we can now be able to calculate where we're saying income at 12,000 copies. We are saying that's where we're having our 12,000. For 4,000 copies, we're having 4,000 copies in this column. So whereby we are saying total income is 6,200. So we're saying 6,000 minus 5,200. So basically, that's the calculation that we have there. So we calculate it correctly. You see that the answer that we are supposed to get there, we're supposed to get to 800 rands. So this becomes your final answer. So from there, we move on to the next part of our question, which is now 1.5%. Table offers a discount of 5% for every order exceeding 15,000. So calculate use income for 18,000 copies. 18,000 copies are ordered. So basically, we are going to multiply 18,000 times the income per copy, which is going to be 50. 50 cents is given in the beginning of the question. So we are saying these 50 cents, then we multiply by 50 cents, then we multiply by the number of copies that are given is 18,000. So multiply by 18,000. So we're saying this is now 1.5, whereby we are saying income, we are saying is we've got 18,000 copies, then we multiply by 50 cents. So by multiplying, you see that the answer that we are going to get is 9,000. 9,000 rands. So basically, that's what we have. So having done that now, we see that we have our 9,000. We can now try to calculate in terms of the discount. So if you come here, you see that the discount that we're given is 5% discount for every order exceeding 20,000. So by having a 5% discount, we are going to say discount equal to 5%. 5% obviously is 5 over 100, and then multiply by 9,000. By 5%, you see that we're going to get 450 rands. So this becomes your discount. So our question needs us to calculate income. Is to calculate the income after the 5% has been 5% discount has been subtracted. So we subtract now the 450 from 9,000. So we say 9,000 minus 450 rands. So obviously the answer that you get now becomes 8,550. So basically this becomes your final answer. So basically we are saying here now it becomes your income after discount. So we are saying income after discount. So that 550 is our income after discount. So basically that's what we have of that part. And then we move on to the next part of our question, which is now saying name the independent variable. So basically we need to understand what exactly is an independent variable, so that we can be able to try to identify the independent variable that we have. So obviously, we are saying independent variable, it is a variable that stands alone and is not changed by other variables you are trying to measure. So the one that is not changed and is not being affected by other variables that are there. If you look at our table, you see that we've got number of copies is not a number of copies is not depending on any other variable. So it becomes the independent variable that we have within the context of our video. So we are now having 1.6. So we are saying 1.6. We're saying number of copies. So basically, that's what we have for 1.6. Then we move on to the next question, 1.7. 1.7 is saying Teba decides to buy its own photocopier, which costs 60,500 rands in 2016. The price has increased in line with inflation rates and determine the inflation rate if the price of the photocopier is 64,493 rands in 2017. You may use the following formula: inflation rate equals to new price minus original price over original price times 100%. So we are saying our formula that we're given on 1.7 is say new price minus original price new price minus original price, then it's over original price. And obviously, we are multiplying by 100 over 1. So this is the formula that we have. So we need to find out about these values of new price and original price, 3 rands, and then the old price is 60,500 rands. So we are just going to substitute in our formula, whereby we are going to say our new price are being 64,493. Then subtract your 60,500. Then it's over original price. Then our original price is 60,500. So obviously we are saying 60,500, and then obviously we are multiplying by 100 over 1. So by multiplying there, you see that the final answer that you are supposed to get is going to be 6.6%, obviously to the nearest 1 decimal place. So this becomes the final answer that we have. So we will move on to the next part of our question, whereby our next question is now 1.8, saying draw 2 graphs showing a member's income and total expenses on the graph paper in the provided in the answer, obviously in the other sheet, and label the graphs accordingly. So we try to go to the other section and see what we have. So this is the graph that you are given in the answer book, whereby it's the graph showing members' expenses and income. So obviously on the vertical axis, according to the graph that we are given in the question, vertical axis, we are going to have our expenses and our income. So basically, we can say amount in rands is our vertical axis. So we come here and say vertical axis is amount in rands. So basically, that's our label on the vertical axis. Then horizontal axis, we're saying it's the number of copies. So we're saying number of copies. So we can just maybe try to number of copies. So in terms of our description of amount in rands, you should write it here. So whereby you're saying you're going to write it as amount in rands. So basically we are saying the description of amount in rands, you are supposed to put it on top of the line that you're given here, and to write it going there as amount in rands. So basically, typically, that's how we're going to present it. And then obviously this description, you can remove it. So this is what we have. And so according to our information that we are given in the question, you'll see that we can start with the graph for expenses. The expenses curve, whereby we are seeing the first point that we have is 0 for number of copies and 1,600 for expenses. So 0 and 1,600. So we come here. We are saying we have got 0 number of copies, but we've got 1,600 on the vertical. So we've got 1,000 here. And we know that between 1,000 and 2,000, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. So if you say 5 into 1,000, we get 200. So this is 1,600. So we're saying 1,200, 1,400, then 1,600 is here. So that's our first point that we have. The next point is 2,000 number of copies, then 2,200 expenses. So we've got 2,000 number of copies. That's what the horizontal axis here. Then 2,200 on the vertical. We are saying it's here. That's our next point. That's our next point. Then we try to go to the next point that we are given. We are having obviously having indicated that we can go to the last point that we have, which is indicating 12,000 for number of copies, and then 5,200 for our expenses. So 12,000 is here, which is the extreme point, and then 5,200 on the vertical axis, 5,200. So obviously we are going to go there and try to see 5,200. We are seeing if we are here, 5,200 becomes here. That's where we got our 5,200. And then we need to join all these points with a straight line, whereby we are saying we are starting here. We'll see we have joined with a straight line, and this becomes our, according to information given, we see this is our total expenses. So we can just label it a total expenses. So come here. We are saying this is total expenses, and then from there we can now be able to try to come up with our other curve that we have is for income, for total income, whereby we are saying the first point is 0, number of copies, and 0 total income. So this one is simple. We come here, which means the first point is in the point of origin, so we can indicate there, whereby we are saying this is our initial point. Then we can try to look at the last point that we are given. The last point that we are given is number of copies is 12,000, then total income is 6,000. So we come here, 12,000, and then we go to 6,000 on the vertical axis. 6,000 is the also here, so we can indicate there as our extreme end point. So from those points, we can now be able to join with a straight line, so that we can connect them. So we can maybe try to zoom in, and so that we can come up with a straight line. So from here, we are saying so this becomes our other curve that we have, which is total income curve. So we can just label it there, total income. So this is what you guys, according to this curve. So according to our requirements of our question, remember our question is saying draw two graphs showing Temba's income and the total expenses on the graph paper in the provided answer sheet, and then label the graph accordingly. So obviously this is what we have just done. So we have labeled in terms of the curves, and then our vertical axis we've labeled, and then also the axis we have labeled. So this is what you guys according to our question 1. So from our question 1, we'll go and try to move on to our second question. That is our question. So moving on to our question 2. Our question 2 reads, Annexure A shows a monthly statement for the services received by Mr. and Mrs. Smith from the Newcastle municipality. Start the statement of Annexure A in the addendum. Note the amount shown under value column are VAT inclusive. So the question above in annexure, firstly, we refer to the annexure and try to see the. So you'll see that this is the annexure that we are given, and we are given this statement. So the question is here. Well, it's December 2016 date, or we can present it in the form 2016 dot is 20 December 2016. So on our answer section, we are going to say on 2 points 20 December. We can move on to the next question, saying determined by Ms. Smith's family in the given period. So number of kiloliters consumed by Smith's family in the given period. We can go to the annexure and try to see the number of kiloliters whereby odd reading. So we're going to say the new reading minus odd reading 39927. Then we can get the number on our other section. This is 1. So we're saying 23945. And then we subtract 3. It's like that. You see that the final answer that we are going to get is going to be 18. So this becomes the answer, which is going to represent 18 kiloliters. So up to which is P. So we can try to calculate that by going to the statement that we are given and try to find the total joule. But according to the information given, we are seeing that at the beginning is opening balance, which is the amount that was due at the beginning of the period, so 1,380.27. But we see that there was a payment that was made here. That we also have to take note. So there was a payment for this amount that was due at the beginning. So as we are seeing that, it means this amount, this figure, this figure, this figure, this figure, this figure, this figure, then the total that we get becomes 2.2.2, and this is total June. So we can refer to the information that we are given, 217, 217 rand 16 cents. So we say, add the next one, which is 62 rand 65 cents, and 25 rand 31 cents. Then from there, 99 cents. Then from there, we add 223 rand 19 cents. Then we add 577 rand 32 cents. That was the last one that we have, and obviously total. So if you add there, I see that the total that you're supposed to get is 1,000. So this becomes the final calculation that we have. In this calculation, the total that is 2. So we can move on to the next part of our question, which is now 2.3. Show by calculation that the VAT inclusive value of 125 rand 31 to 4, consuming 12 kiloliters is correct. So obviously we refer again back to our statement. 5 rand 31 is with the tariff being 9 rand 16 cents as per unit. So we're going to say 12 times 9.16. So we are going to say, and then we multiply by, then from the 92 cents exclusive. So this column, remember the instruction that we are given at the beginning. In the question, you can refer to the question. They are saying, if you come here, is that not that the amount shown under the value column are VAT inclusive. So it means under the value column is this one. That's why you've got VAT inclusive. So this figure is VAT inclusive, but the figure that we've calculated is exclusive. So you need to calculate using the VAT percentage, and we know that the VAT percentage is 14%. So we are going to apply our 14% by saying 40% is 0.100, and we do that. I will say that the answer that you are going to get there is going to be 8, whereby we've got our 8 a year in the next 5 to 9, and it's going to 81 cents. So this is our VAT component. So get the total now of VAT inclusive. We're going to say total 92.17 rands 39 cents. It would be 100. So this becomes the final answer that we have, and this is the figure that we are looking for, which is this figure that we are trying to prove. So this is what we have on this part. So we can move on to the next question, which is now saying, give 3 names of easy pay outlets where Mr. and Miss Smith can make payment. So easy pay outlets. We can talk about ShopRite, Woolworths, and also Pick and Pay part of that. So we can say Woolworths, and also talk about ShopRite. So this is what we have on 2.4, and then move on to 2.5. 2.5 says determine the VAT amount on electricity availability. So we come here, we see that electricity availability, we have it here, T amount. So we have our value, we have got VAT inclusive, is 207, 2.5, and we are saying VAT, the amount is 217.16 cents. So this is what we have. So basically, remember VAT, our VAT inclusive, we can try to understand it from the point of view how the VAT becomes which is 10%. So this is the scenario that we are having. So from that now, we can now be able to find our figure for VAT, 217 rands, 1,600 inclusive, then VAT is 14%. So this is our question we're saying. What we don't have is 40 over figure. Then if you calculate it in that way, we see that the final figure that we are supposed to get becomes 26 rands 67 cents. So this becomes your final answer on that part. Then we now go to the next part that we have, which is going to be 2.6, which is saying during the previous month, Mr. and Mrs. Smith consumed 24,000 liters of water. Convert these liters to kiloliters. And we know that 1,000 liters is equal to 1 kiloliter. So basically, very simple. You're going to say 24,000 liters divided by 1,000, then you can find the number of kiloliters. So we're saying 2.6, whereby we're saying 24,000. We're given 24,000, 1,000 liters. And this is what we have for the Smith for the saving when was the payment made. So where we have 26,12,01, which means it's 1 according to the interpretation that we are given there. The date is 2016 12/01. So that's what we have. So that's how we are going to present it. So if we go back to the question page, what was paid was 1,380 rands 57 cents. And it was paid on 01/12/2016. So we just presented as 1,380. We are saying it's 01/12/2016. So 2016. So basically that's what we have. So that's 2.8. Define the term opening balance in this context. But opening, so it's representing the amount that is period. So we are saying opening balance is the amount that Ms. and Miss Smith is owing the municipality for the service rendered the previous month, for the previous month. So we can just try to present it that way by saying 2.8 amount rendered the previous month. So basically, that's what we have in terms of question 2. And obviously, we need to move on to the next question, which is now our question 3. We're moving on to our question 3. You'll see that our question 3 reads, Miss N. Mtetwa, district manager of Ikhazeni district in Mpumalanga province, was concerned about the rate of learner absenteeism in the district. In his PhD thesis, he decided to conduct a survey about the reasons and extent of this problem. So 3.1 reads, one of the methods used by Ms. Mtetwa to collect data was interviews. Provide the possible advantage of using a possible disadvantage of using interviews, disadvantage of using interviews. But basically, when we are talking about interviews, this in interview basically it's a structured conversation where one participant asks questions and the other provides answers. So that's the scenario that we have in terms of an interview. So what can be a disadvantage that we can try to deduce from there? You would see that the issue of interpretation of the question can be a problem. There might be wrong interpretations of the questions by the interviewee and the one that is being asked the questions. So we are saying participants or respondents may misinterpret questions and give incorrect responses. So this can be the response that we can try to raise. One or respondents misinterpret and give incorrect responses. And moving on to the next question. The same table 2, summary of survey results. We're given a table, and then we are also given 3.2.1. 3.2.1 is a first question that we have determine the missing values A and B. Show your calculation. So we have A. You see that A is appearing in different columns, and also we have our B. So we can start by calculating our A, whereby we are saying to get 276, for example, to get plus A. So we say 12 plus supposed to get is 276. Simplifying further, 276, 112 the other side, 272A equal to 276 minus 112. You see that, and obviously we're going to divide by 2 both sides so that we can be left with A becomes 82. So this becomes the final answer that we have. So this is our A, but we also need to calculate our B, whereby we've got our B here. According to our question, it says determine the missing values A and B. So B is simple. We are saying to get, let's just try to see, according to, remember this is our total column. So we're saying 276 plus B is equal to 475. 276 plus B is equal to 475. 276 plus B equal to 475. So this is what we have. So obviously we can make B the sum of the formula whereby we are saying right, it becomes a negative. It becomes B is equals to then you get your 199. So this is on P becomes 199. So this is what we have. Then we move on to the next coordinate, that is in brackets total learners of MLI was 1,000 did not participate in this 475. So basically that's what we have. So from there we are now 475 then divided by 1,380. So we are saying 3.2.2, whereby we are saying 1,380 minus 475, and then we divide by 100 over 1. 58. So this is what we have in 3.2.2. We're going to move on to the next part of our question, which is now our 3.3. We're saying the Department of Health visited one of the schools which was mostly affected and compiled the table of body mass index of learners. The following table is an extract from the Department of Health, which is a BMI table. Table 3, extract from a BMI table. So we're given males and females, whereby we've got column for height, weight, and then BMI, and then same applies to females. And beneath that, the first question says, Mr. Mtekwa classify the data in the table 3 as a continuous data. Explain the meaning of continuous data. So basically, a continuous data is data that have decimal commas. Why does continuous data have decimal places? Is the question. So you see that continuous data, this is quantitative data that represents precise measurements. That's why we are having some commas coming in, because we are representing precise or accurate measurements. So they can take any value. For example, we can talk about height. It can take any value. We can talk about temperature. It can take any value. We can talk about length. So basically, we're saying it's an infinite number of possible values. So briefly, we can say that in terms of continuous data. So but the simpler explanation that we can give in terms of continuous data, we can just simply say it's continuous data that have decimal commas. Data, then we move on to the next question, which is saying calculate the value of A using the formula. BMI equals to weight in kgs over height. Yes, height squared according to the presentation that we are given there. The height is squared. So A, we are having AE. So our weight, we are given it as 70. And then our height, we are given it as 166. So that's what we have. So this is 166 centimeters. Let's take note. We are supposed to remember 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. We present it as 1.66. So it's going to be squared. So that will be 70. So we come to answer section and then present it in such way by saying information given, and then it's over height, which is a meter squared. It's meter squared. So the values that we have, remember, we're saying it's 70 divided by 1.66 squared. So we're saying 70 divided by 1.66 squared. And we do that to see that the answer that we are supposed to get there becomes 20. Remember, the calculation that we are making is for A. So this is our A. So this is what we have. Then move on to the next part of our question, which is saying if mean of BMI of males is 28.05, determine the value of B. Mean of BMI of males. So BMI of males is this one. So it being said is 28.05. So we are saying 28.05. So we need to find out the B. And to find the mean, we say sum of values of a number of 4, 5, 6, 7. We divide by 7. But we don't have B, so it means if we add 8.5 plus 28.4 plus 32.3 plus 26.9, you are going to get your total 47, and then you get 28.05. So that's how it will 0.3, whereby we are saying, and then we divide by number of values. 20 plus b divided by 7 equal to 28.05. So we're saying 170 plus b divided by 7.05 is equals to 170. So this is what we have. And you calculate it in such a way. Right, if we calculate it in such a way, you see that the answer that you are supposed to get becomes p equals to 26.35. So basically, that's what we have on B. So we'll go to the next part of our question, which is now 3.3.4. Which indicator in brackets measure of central attendance between the mean and the median best describe the weight of male, females? Justify your answer. So basically, the question is asking you which measure of central attendance is better between the mean and the median. So that's how we are going to answer it. So you would see that the mean is better, obviously, because it takes all values into account. So that's as compared to the median, whereby the median we are saying it only stays at the mid-true value. So that's the explanation that we are going to give 3.3.4. So 3.3.4. 3.3.4, we are going to say mean takes into account whereas the median gives the mid-true value only. It gives the So basically, that's the explanation that we can give in terms of 3.3.4. And then from there, we can now be able to move on to the next question. So the next question is 3.3.5. Use an XMB to estimate the height range of a 54.4 kg learner to be regarded as normal. So we go to an XMB. So this is our XMB. So they're saying the 54.4 kg, which is here. So we are going to see for it. So we are the lower of 1. The first part that we upper line there 54.3 here. Calculate the range by saying this is now 3.3.5, whereby you're saying range. You're going to get your answer is 26. So this is what is now 3.3.6. The total number of affected learners in this school is of learners learners calculate the number presented by the 50% of 520 5% of 528. So that's what we have. Then we come on our other section. We are saying 3.328, 132. So that's the response that we have on that part. And I'll move on to the next question, which is now the exercise athletic club. So 3.4.1, on a certain weekend, the athletic team was invited to Gobela Rest of if the team left their school at 21:30 and arrived in Gobela the following day at 03:39. So remember, when the day starting in the morning, that is we are that are there for that day. But this one was at the end of the day between 21:30 and period that is here, and then the other that you get we add to 03:39 to get the total time. So we're going to say on our other section, remember this is going to be 3.4.1, whereby we are saying 24 and 21:30. We try to calculate it to see that obviously 1 hour here in 20 and here we've got it will remain as. Then we say now 67 as 30, you're going to get your 30, and that from there we can now be able to see here we've got 2 hours 30 minutes from 21:30 to the end of the day, which is 24:00. 2 hours 30 minutes 30 minutes. Then we add 39 for the following day, which is 3 hours 39 minutes. So 3 hours 39 minutes. So basically that's what we have. So if we add 2 plus 3, you get your 5 hours. And then 30 minutes plus 39 minutes, you're going to get it as 69 minutes. And then from there, we can now be able to see that we've got 60 minutes inside 60, it becomes 6 hours. And then our 60 minutes that we've taken from 69 becomes the remaining 9 minutes. and we have 6 hours, 9 minutes. So basically, this is what we have. So, but if you look at the, let's just try to refer back to our question. If you look back to our question, let's just back to our question. Our question is saying, determine the duration in hours. So we should leave our time in hours. So remember, this is 9 minutes. So I will need to convert 9 minutes to a decimal, whereby you're saying 6 hours plus 9 over 60, so that it becomes hours. So if you say 9 over 60, now you're going to get it as 0.15. So you're going to say 6 hours plus 0.15 plus 0.15 hour. So if you add the two, it becomes 6.15 hours. So this becomes our final answer. So this is what we have on this part, and see if we got another question, which is going to be our last question. Another school team from Polokwane province traveled 560 kilometers. The driver of the combi ensured that after traveling 200 kilometers, they took a rest of 30 minutes. They arrived in Bombela at 03:45. Estimate the time at which they departed from their school if the combi was driven at an average speed of 90 kilometers per hour. You may use the formula average speed in kilometers per hour equals to distance in kilometers over time in hours. So basically, this is what we have on this part. But we have what we have to take note there that after traveling 200 kilometers, there we've got 30 minutes rest. So, but you see that the total time that has been traveled is 560 kilometers, 560. So we are going to save 2 breaks of 30 minutes. So basically, we are saying, if we say 2 times 30 minutes, we are going to get your 60 minutes. So obviously, the breaks are going to take us 1 hour. Then we can now use this formula to calculate the time of our 1 hour 60 minutes, so that we get the total time that was spent traveling. So for the other section, we are going to say speed according to our information that we are given, 3.4.2. We're going to say average speed, that is kilometers per hour, is equal to distance in kilometers. Distance in kilometers over distance over time. Time is in hours. So this is the formula that we're going to apply, whereby the average speed that was used was 90 kilometers per hour. So we're going to say it's now simple. We are now going to say 90 kilometers per hour equal to, this is our speed, equal to our distance. Distance traveled, we're giving it as 560. So we say 500 we're looking for. So to find our time, we are going to say, if you make time the sum of the formula there, it becomes time equal to 560 divided by 8. And you see that the answer that you are supposed to get there, if we say 560 divided by 90, you're going to get it as 6.222 hours. So this was the time for traveling. And then we add the 1 hour for resting. Resting time is equal to, remember resting time, you said they're resting 30 minutes after 200 kilometers, and you said we've got 200 kilometers inside 560, so there is 1 hour. So it means we're going to add is equals to 30 minutes plus 30 minutes. This is going to give you 60 minutes, which is equal to 1 hour. So total time is equals to 6.222 2 hours plus 1 hour. So we're going to get it as 6.22. Sorry, 6, it becomes 6 plus 1, you get 7, so it becomes 7.222 hours. So this becomes our total time that we have. So from there, we can now be able to say, to refer back to the question that we have. The question is saying they arrived at 03:45, and then the question needs us to find estimate the time at which they departed. So we are going to subtract those hours from 03 departed. So very simple it is. Remember, after every 24 hours, that's where we put the end of the day. So we can say 24 hours plus 0345 hours. So that we can now be able to calculate. And if we add there, we're going to get 27, 45. And then we subtract the time that we've got here. Let's just try to see. The time that we have is 7.22 hours. So obviously we need to convert our 0.222 hours so that we can be converted to minutes. So we're going to say 7 hours plus 0.222 hours. And then we can convert these 2 minutes, whereby we multiply 0.222 times 60. So in other words, we are saying, if we say 0.222 times 60 minutes, we're going to get, you're going to get 13.32 minutes, which we are going to round up to the nearest one number, whereby it means 3, so 13 minutes. So basically, we are saying this is 7:18. So we can now be able to calculate using. Remember, we've already expressed this by adding 24 hours so that it becomes simple to calculate. So we've got 27.45. So on our calculation, we're going to say 27.45. Then we subtract 7:18. So as simple as it is, now we are saying 5 minus 3, then you get your 2. 4 minus 1, you get your 3. And then here we say 7 minus 7, you get a 0. So 2032 becomes the departing time. So basically we are saying departing time is 2032. So this is what we have on the last part of our question 3. Then obviously we need to move on to our question 4, which is the last question that we have. So our question 4 is the traffic during peak hours on the N2 and in on the road was exposed a group of friends from a stranger to form a lift club to travel to work in Durban. They use a Saren's car, Avanza, which can load 8 people, including the driver, Suren. So 4.1 reads Suren's car consumes petrol with 1,300 rands per week. Then 4.1.1 reads in calculating the contribution to be made by each passenger towards weekly petrol expenses, Suren rounded off the contribution of each person to the nearest 50 rand, was Suren's charges fare to his friends. Justify your answer by calculations. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to find the contribution that is going to be made by each person. Then obviously from that way we're going to round it off so that we can see what each person is for, what amount each person is going to pay. Then we are supposed to compare the total that is going to be paid by all the people with 1,300 that we are having here and see if it's justifiable. So the car carries 8 people, but it will be including the plus 7 I'm going to pay. So I'm going to divide 1,300. I'm going to say 4.8, and then we divide by 7. Then by so doing, if you divide by 7, you are going to see that the answer that you're going to get is 1 cent. Then this is the amount per person that is going to be 200 rands. So it means each person is, we know that there are 7 people that are total payment is 700 rands. So this is what we have, 1,400 rands. Then from this 1,400, we compare it with the one that is supposed to be paid is an amount that is more than the normal that was supposed to be paid, which is 1,300. But 400 minus 1,300 is more than 100 rands. So which means Suren was fair because the amount is small. It's not a very big amount. So we can summarize it by saying Suren, he was receiving only 100 rands. So basically, that's what we have there. Then I'll move on to the next part of our question. It is now being part of the Lift Club. Justify your answer. Of course, student will benefit because obviously we are saying student is getting money revenue there from the payments of fuel of petrol. So obviously we are saying student will benefit. So basically that's the description that I'm just going to give on our answer section by saying this is now 4. So they're saying because so basically that's what we have on that part. And the next part is saying student bought the latest and expensive car radio using the credit card, which charges him 18.85% interest per annum. After the first 2 months, he received a bank statement showing these figures. So we are given table 4, part of student statement. Then they're saying 4.2.1 show how 139.80 was calculated. So this is 139.80. So obviously, it's being calculated from 8,900 rands, but we are seeing that this is per month monthly. For people who get the interest added per month. So that's exactly how we are going to calculate it. So we're going to say on 4.85% to divide by 12 to get the monthly by 8,900. And you see that by solving, the answer that you are supposed to get 139 rands 8 cents. So this is the figure that we are trying to 139 rands 80 cents. So basically, this is what we have. We'll go to the next part where the 4.2.3 is saying after the second month, student took a loan of 8. We can maybe 4.2.2 is the next question that we're looking for. Student was advised that if he pays a lump sum of 4,000 rands, the interest to be added on the 5th month will be more than half of 115.99. So by calculations, that the advice is correct. So obviously, let's start by finding the half of 115.99. Then we make our calculation to verify that figure. Then we are saying 150. This is 4.115.99. 115.57 points. This is the figure that we are trying to look for to see is saying. Basically, now on our calculation, we are going to say 7,500, which is the amount that will be paid the lump sum 4,000. So that's the first calculation that we're going to make by saying 7,000 that is going to be paid 500. So this 3,500 is the one that we want to calculate the interest. Remember, of course, the number one the interest, but remember the interest we're given it is per annum 18.85. So we divide it by 12, and then we multiply it by the difference that we got there. So we are saying 18 by 3,500. Okay. Would be 54 and 98 cents. And we are comparing it with 57.995. So we are saying 57.995, which is obviously going to be, if you round it off, it becomes 58. It becomes 58.00. So this is what we have said. Making the 58.00 is greater, but if you go back there, you're supposed to be more than the half of, so which is not correct. So on our explanation, we are going to say the advice is incorrect. So basically, that's how we can summarize it. Then we'll try to see in terms of the next question. 4.2.3. After the second month, student took a loan of 8,300 from the loan shark to pay off the credit card balance. He was charged 24.99% simple interest per annum. Calculate the new monthly installment if the loan was to be repaid in 12 months. So basically, very simple it is. What we are going to do, we are just going to say 24.99% of 8,300. And then we get the annual interest, and then we add it to 8,300, and then the total that we get we divide by 12, then we can get the monthly installment. So what we are saying is on our answer section, we're going to say this is going to be our 4.2.3, whereby we are saying 24.99% as the interest times the amount is 8,300 rands. And then if you multiply it like that, you see that the answer that you're supposed to get is now 2,000 and 17 cents. So this is what we get. Then having got this now, we now add this interest plus the principal. So let's say equal to 2074.17, then we get 8,300. Then the total that we are supposed to get is let's just try to add the Q so that we can see what do we get. So we are saying 2074.17, which is 0.17 cents. We add 8,300. 8,300. And we are going to get 10,374.17. And then the answer that we got there, we divide it by 12, that we can get the monthly. So if you divide by 12, you're supposed to get your answer is 864 pounds 51 cents. So this becomes the final, the monthly installment. So basically, you're saying this is the monthly installment. So basically, that's what we have. So this is what we have on this part. And then try to move on to the next question, which is saying, what was this a correct decision? Just for your answer. So you'll see that it's a correct decision from the point of view that the period that is going to be taken to repay the amount is only 1 year. Remember, here they're saying he was charged 24.99% of interest per annum. The new calculate the newly monthly installment of the loan was, if the loan was to be paid, was to be repaid in 12 months. So it's only going to be 12 months. So it means it was a correct decision because the period is short that is going to be taken to repay. So on our response, we are going to say we can just maybe try to. So this is now 4.2.4 in the same. It was correct because the period to repay is only 12 months. So this is how we can try to respond to that. So basically, this becomes the last question that we have according to this question paper of March 2017. Hopefully, this video was helpful. And please, let's not forget to subscribe and share to our channel. Let's not forget to share the link to our colleagues who are doing the core mathematical literacy. And let's take note, more typical examination questions will be uploaded on this channel. So let's stay tuned for more videos. As for these videos, I'm signing out. Let's meet again in the next video.